Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We're going to start off with some new data that was just released yesterday, a new forecast put out by the Colorado State University's hurricane group. And this group has been doing this research for a number of years. In fact, I don't remember a time going back over at least the last 20 years where they weren't releasing their forecasts like this, and they do a pretty darn good job. But it's important for us to take a quick look at it as we begin this Friday forecast video here. So this is for the Atlantic Basin. We're looking at the seasonal hurricane forecast, again, from the Colorado State University group. And I think what I want you to see here is the way they lay this out. I want you to first look at all of the numbers that are in parentheses over here. So for each variable, like named storms, named storm days, hurricanes, so on and so forth, what is in parentheses would be a seasonal average. And they're using the 1981 to 2010 time period to compute their averages. Then what you can do is you can even pause the video and take a closer look at this. But what I really want to show you is that for several reasons, we're anticipating a more active season than normal. Let's just come right down to one number I think that's probably most important, and that's one that's down here. Accumulated cyclone energy. This is a calculation that we perform that looks at total net energy outputted by the tropical system, and normal is 106 and we're expecting 150. Now, there's a lot of reason for this. I'm going to give you just a couple of big points as to why some of the early season forecasts for hurricane season are active, and it comes down to this map here. Two of the biggest reasons. First, if you look in the Gulf of Mexico right in through here, we do see well above average ocean temperatures right now. And we've noticed that the North Atlantic has been quite cold, whereas the main development region, which kind of stretches in through this area, has seen quite a bit of warm water already this year. So remember, it takes about 5 times the amount of energy to change the temperature of water than it does land. In other words, water has a specific heat about 5 times greater than that of soil. And so my point in telling you that is that already warm ocean temperatures take an enormous amount of time to cool off. And where we're going to be watching them for them to potentially be cooling off will be right over in this region. So this is just off of the west coast of South America. We've already seen cooling of the waters here coming off of the west coast of North America, and some cooler water here throughout much of winter. And the warmer water is piled up over here in this part of the tropical Western Pacific. Now, we have seen lately that the trade winds, which blow from the east to the west, have been anomalously strong, which means they've been stronger than normal coming off of Central America and off of South America. And if that continues and we continue to get those stronger winds, well, we will start to see the atmosphere behaving more like La Nina. And if it is behaving like La Nina, that has implications in 2 different regards. One, it tends to slow down over this area right in through here that I just circled. I'll hash it out here. It tends to slow down the upper level wind shear. So if we slow down the winds and we reduce wind shear, what that does is that allows tropical systems to concentrate their heat a bit more, which makes them stronger. The second thing this does is this promotes more ridging somewhere in the United States right in through here. And what ends up happening is these tropical systems like to sneak up under those ridges, which puts the whole of the Gulf Coast and the southeast coast of the United States on target here for having more potential landfalls. So this is just something we need to watch at this point, and I think as we work our way through June and get into July, which is kind of when hurricane season starts, we'll just continue to update these numbers and keep a close eye on this, all right? In the meantime, early this morning, we were watching a pretty powerful cold front sweeping through the midsection of the United States. And out ahead of it, temperatures were still quite pleasant. Parts of Texas, southeastern Texas, getting into Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi. A little bit of a cooler morning here along the East Coast. But that sharply divided temperature pattern across the United States will be advancing forward here in the near term. And as it does so, as we just look out basically through early Tuesday morning, it's a bit of a slow mover here. And you notice that if you're in the southeast, so from basically, I'll just call it Mississippi all the way to North Carolina, chances of precipitation are relatively light over the next few days. So this again gets us out to early Tuesday morning. And it's going to be along that main frontal boundary that we're going to be watching most of our precip, and right down here in Texas, you can see such a widespread area, possibly getting anywhere between 3/4 of an inch, in some spots up to 3 inches of rainfall. And this is not good news for that area, simply because we have had so much rain lately. We've delayed a lot of of seasonal field work this time of year, and we're showing more not only now but in the longer term as well. The longer term is coming from a low that's coming into California over the weekend that will slowly be pushing through parts of the Four Corner states in northern Mexico and eventually emerging in Texas and then running across the southern part of the United States. So let me play out for you what we're anticipating today. This is coming from our NAM model, high resolution NAM model. What you saw here is as that front just slowly moves toward these, see right here, I'm just kind of fast forwarding from about 7 o'clock this morning on Friday through about 7 o'clock this evening. You can see the main frontal boundary just pushing through here. So if we're going to watch an area for strong to severe thunderstorms, it'll initially be in this corridor here tonight. And as we play this forward and get us into early Saturday morning, we see again right down here through Texas, widespread area throughout the day on Saturday dealing with showers and thunderstorms, some of which could be severe as well. And that front just kind of slowly fizzles out here, which is what gives parts of the southeast a better chance of having drier conditions. But the rain does move into the Delta region, gets over into Louisiana throughout the evening hours on Saturday, and then slowly presses toward the east. But it's going to take a while. There's high pressure protecting part of the southeast at this point. But here comes that next coastal low over the weekend that we're going to watch as it sweeps across the southern part of the United States. And let's go straight to that one and see where it's going. All right, so we've seen already through Sunday, let's just say Sunday afternoon. So here it goes into Sunday evening, now into Monday morning. So again, widely scattered showers down here in parts of Texas for Monday morning. All of this being fed around this big high pressure cell, just put moisture back in that area. Plus there's plenty in the soil to recycle. So here's Monday afternoon and evening. Again, same region. Broadly speaking, wide showers and thunderstorms in this area. Our low is here, our high is there, and we're just right in between the two. So there's good upper level support to give us lift in the atmosphere. But the big system is still waiting back here. This is now Monday night into Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon and evening. So we can now start to see that after Tuesday, some scattered showers and thunderstorms do make their way over into the southeast. But then beyond that, we're still just keeping an eye on this cutoff low here. And as it sweeps through, so we now get a little bit of a break toward the end of next week, but you're going to see here that that cutoff low finally shows up by next Friday night. And here it is sitting somewhere off of Colorado or Kansas here. Who knows if it's going to be in this exact location? It could move north or south, and the timing could be a bit off, but we see that that comes sweeping through. Now here's the change that's going to happen after this. When that trough comes sweeping through that produces that low, it appears that getting past about the 13th of the month, we're going to be seeing a bit of a different temperature pattern after this. But let me just show you over the next 10 days where I'm expecting the heaviest rainfall. So compared to normal, it's that same corridor we've been discussing in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and then eventually stretching a bit farther here over toward Mississippi and Alabama with that next system. But looking purely at week 2, after that low finally moves over here to the southeast, you do see some drier conditions moving in behind it. And both the European and the GFS are hinting at this. So what's changing here? Well, when we look at the comparison of the models, notice the GFS is keeping its wettest conditions down here. So one of the things I guess it's not changing is the strength of that subtropical jet stream. But what is changing is the upper level flow. So let's do this again. We have the GFS on the left. I have the European on the right. We're going to go straight to day 10 and just take a look at how the flow of the atmosphere looks once that next system kicks through the southeast. So look over here at the European model on the right first. Here's the trough of that system that comes blasting through again at the end of next week. And after it does that, I've noticed that the European model has wanted to just give this long, very long and broad trough feature that's kind of anchored right here just north of Japan. And what it has is it has a trough that's trying to build to the north of it, but the flow is going to undercut it in two ways. We're going to get flow like this coming out of the north, but the subtropical branch cuts in right underneath this. And what you notice is they kind of want to come together right here over parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, which is why we saw the models showing wet in that area. What does the GFS do? It's got similar features, but a much more highly amplified ridge moving into Alaska. And therefore it pulls the trough farther back to the west, the subtropical jet stream comes in with it, and then that just really increases the region that is supposed to be very wet out of that forecast. The problem with both of these maps is that this tends to give us that trend we've been talking about all week, which is a cooler mid-April time period. So remember, last week I watched 5 different days of model runs that kept predicting this upcoming week, next week, as being cold, and they flip-flopped over the weekend. I'm still gonna watch it because I still think model accuracy is down a bit right now. But again, since Monday, I've watched now 5 days of weather forecasts saying this was going to be the pattern. So what it does to our temperatures is this. Let's just take a look at the next 5 days, comparing them to normal. So here's our main front sweeping through today on Friday. So very cold behind this, 10 to 20 degrees cooler than average, quite warm out ahead of it. But as the front sweeps through, let's take a look at it here. This is now Saturday's departure from normal, so very cool day here in Texas, up to 20 degrees cooler than average. And then as it sweeps through, remember how it fizzled out a bit? So therefore, we still maintain on Sunday right here in the parts of the southeast, 5 to 8 degrees above average, while it's still cool in this part of Texas. Now, once we get into next week, that's Monday's departures, Tuesday's departure from normal, and Wednesday. All right. Now at this point, that's when that low had finally slid through Southern California. It will be traversing across the southern part of the United States. So to show you what the whole of next week, so this is only next week, is going to look like, you get this map. All right. The cutoff low is coming into California, cooling things off. Broad warm sector out ahead of this. Very warm conditions for most of next week. But as we get out there to when that system cuts through at the end of the week, that's when we start to back off the temperature. So now you're only looking at day 5 through 10. So that's when the trough has moved and we've started to cool things off over here on the southeast. But still, I'm saying cooled off, but they're still warmer than average. But take a look at this. This is the new day to 10 to 15. And remember, we saw that the models were wanting to paint this picture again. And if it does that, that's going to return us to near average to at times a little bit cooler than average weather here in parts of our southern region. Last thing I want to show you today, this is the new long-range update put out by the European weeklies. This was just released last night. But the only thing that's been a major change for that April 8th through May 8th time period has been we've just now seen the temperatures down here across the southeast not be quite as warm as initially forecast. And the other change that we've seen here is that backed off a little bit on the Texas precipitation amounts, but the model is not letting go of that strong subtropical branch of the jet stream. So what I don't like about this is what has already been the wettest February through March on record for this section of the country. We're now going to put right back on top of it more rain as we move our way into April and May. We got a lot to keep an eye on here. I'll give you a new update on Monday. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you.